Have you ever been to a gymnastics competition and you were so nervous? You were shaking on beam and it made you fall, or you were just overall so scared to compete? I'm guilty of this. I was the worst competitor. My nerves got the best of me all the time. It was so frustrating because I knew I was a much better gymnast than what I presented in competition, but my nerves just got the best of me. So today I'm going to share with you 5 ways you can handle your nerves so that you can compete better and hopefully not end up like me, pretty much bombing every single competition because I just couldn't compete the way I practice. Okay, let's get right to it. The first tip is probably something you've heard before. It's that feeling of being nervous-sighted. When we get nervous, oftentimes we'll feel butterflies in our belly, we'll start to sweat, maybe we shake a bit. Those are all things that our body does to prepare us for what's coming next. Now, the coolest thing about this is that whether you are nervous because you're scared or you're nervous because you're excited, reaction in your body is the same. So you get to tell your brain what it is that you're feeling. Nervous because you're scared? You're nervous because you're excited or nervous-sighted. If that's the case, tell your brain that. You might say things like, I'm so excited. I can't wait to compete. I finally get to do my series and my routine today. I finally get to throw that dismount I've been practicing. Continue to tell yourself over and over, not I'm nervous. Oh no, there's a problem. I'm scared. What if I'm not ready? What if I can't do this? No, we get rid of all that stuff. Tell your brain, I'm excited. I can't wait to do this. I get to compete. That is the best thing ever. I'm so excited for this meet. It's going to be a really fun meet. So taking those nerves, as soon as you feel the butterflies, as soon as you feel the racing heart, telling yourself, I am so excited. What that does is it immediately signals to your brain, oh, that's why she's feeling that way. She's excited. Try that in your next meet and see if that can help you to feel just a little less nervous. Next tip I'll give you is to make sure you are focusing on one event at a time. Sometimes we go into competition and we know that one of our routines isn't really polished, or we're worried about falling off a beam, or we have a skill that we barely have done onto a hard mat and now we have to compete it. So our brain sometimes is thinking ahead to the skill that we have yet to do. Maybe you're starting on vault and you're worried about floor, which is at the end of the competition, and the entire competition throughout the other 3 events, you can't stop thinking about floor. Maybe you already competed beam and now you're on floor after that and you can't stop thinking about the beam routine that you had that you fell on 3 times. Instead, you have to narrowly focus yourself on the event that you are on. You must do your best to stop your brain from drifting to future what if thoughts or thinking about the bad things that might have happened or the things that you didn't want to happen that happened in the past. Keeping yourself one event at a time. If I'm competing bars, during bars, I'm thinking about bars. When bars are over, then I can think about the next event, not thinking to past events or future events until I actually get there. Whatever happened on the event before, it's history now. You can think about it later after the competition, but it has no place in your brain right now. Third tip is a really important tip that I tell my gymnasts that I work with, to always have a plan for what you are going to do while you are waiting to compete each event. So this is kind of like a pre-routine routine. Instead of a pre-meet routine that you do leading into the competition, this is a pre-routine routine. You might have a plan for, of course, what you're going to do during your warm-up, but then that time in between warm-up and when you compete, what are you going to do? Going to sit there and watch all the other gymnasts? Are you going to close your eyes and visualize the routine that you're going to compete? Going to practice on the side, marking through your routine if you're allowed to do that? Are you going to listen to some music? Are you going to talk to your teammates quietly, of course, to kind of distract yourself? So having a plan for what to do while you're waiting can really help you, especially when you're last up on that event. Time that you have to fill, and if you don't fill it with your own things, what's going to happen is your brain is going to fill it with negative thoughts, and that's going to make you more nervous to compete and usually end up making you not do as well on that event as you could have. In addition to that, so not only do you have a plan for what you're going to do as you're waiting to compete, you also want to plan for what to do if you're standing there for a long time waiting to salute. Sometimes that happens where there's an issue with the gymnast score before you, and judges take a while to get that score out. You might be standing there waiting for a while, or maybe there's an issue with the equipment. You're standing there and waiting and waiting and waiting, and that is the most common time when nerves can escalate. When you're waiting to salute You know you're about to compete. You don't know how long you have to wait, and those nerves just build and build and build until they can be really overwhelming and hurt your performance. Having a plan for that, and that could be running through your routine over and over and over mentally. It could be singing a song that you like a pump-up song or a motivational song that will help you in that moment to focus on getting hyped for your routine. It could be going through your mental choreography. So many things that you can do during that time, but the goal is to have a plan for what to do if you are in that situation so that you're not left standing there just counting down the seconds or the minutes until you can compete. Speaking of mental choreography, that's the fourth tip I'm going to give you. Mental choreography is when you have keywords that you use for each of the elements in your routine. You say them as you're doing your routine. The best place to practice mental choreography is during practice, during your workout, so that you can connect those words to your routines already. And then when you go to compete, you already know what you have to think about. But let's say you haven't been doing that and you don't have your mental choreography. What you can do in that moment when you're competing, you can just assign a word to each of your elements. So it could be as simple as just naming the skill that you're doing: kip, cast, handstand, clear hip, kip, squat on. You just say the name of the skill that you're doing, and that can keep your mind focused on what you are doing in that moment. Kind of like we said before, where I wanted you to focus on one event at a time. In your routine, you also want to think about one skill at a time. You don't want to be thinking ahead to your series or your dismount when you haven't gotten there. Having mental choreography gives you that chance to think about one skill at a time. And it's really easy to just name the skill. I think that's the easiest way. But if you have been practicing this during practice, whatever you've been doing there, you just want to transfer into your competition. This could include words like squeeze, tight, pull, stick, push. You can use those kind of words to help you, especially on beam where maybe it's important to have to really squeeze and stay tight or square. So having mental choreography and using that during your routines will help to calm your nerves because your brain is focused on what it needs to do and it does not have the time to drift off and think about all those what ifs and those bad things that might happen. Finally, I want you to go for the win. What do I mean by that? I don't mean win as in get first on your event, although of course, go for your best. What I mean is what's important now. W-I-N, win. What's important now? When you are getting ready to compete on each event, it's always helpful to think about what is important right now in this moment. So when you're standing there waiting to salute, what's important right now? In the middle of your routine, what's important right now? It means, what should I be focused on? What should I be thinking about? What is the most important thing in this moment for me to focus on? It's just a trick to kind of get you back into the present moment. Always go for the win. Think about what's important now and bring your thoughts back to the focus on that, on the present moment and what you can do in that moment. Biggest cause of nerves is just the anticipation of what's to come and not knowing what's going to happen. And oftentimes our brains go into the negatives. They think about the what ifs. What if I fall? What if I embarrass myself? What if I don't get a good score? What if I don't qualify? What if I get last? What if I let my team down or my coach down or my parents down? Those are all things that can run through your brain, and that's what makes you nervous. It's not the actual competition. It's not doing the routines because you have practiced these hundreds and hundreds of times. Always that anticipation of how is it going to go? You have to remind yourself, you've done what you can, and now you are here just to do your routine, just like you've done in practice. So don't focus too much on the things that can go wrong. Focus on all the things that you have control over in the moment that you're competing. Okay, I hope these 5 tips are helpful. Try them out at your next competition. Let me know how they go in the comments below. And if you have any other tips, other things that you do that have helped you calm your nerves, please share them below so that other gymnasts can read them and hopefully try them as well. Also, make sure to subscribe to the Stick It Girl channel for more tips like this. Good luck at your next competition and have fun.